Let's start the show.
He got into vintage audio a year ago, but there's a lot of things he still doesn't know, so he started up a channel on YouTube, and here he is now, the Vintage Newbie.
Ba, ba.
The Vintage Newbie. Your volume's fine, don't worry. If you're new here, welcome aboard. If you're not, welcome back. If you're kind of old but kind of new, welcome-ish. If you just stumbled upon this, then that's, I don't know, pick which one of those three you like and take it with you and enjoy it. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Or don't. If you want to find something else on here, scroll through and see if any of the other videos are something you need to learn or to watch. It's mostly a lot of realistic Radio Shack gear, but also other vintage audio equipment as well. But today is going to be another vintage, realistic Radio Shack episode. Now, when I first got this STA-70 receiver, it was to be a backup to my Pioneer SX-780 receiver, because I know that vintage receivers can go all kablooey on you sometimes. I learned that firsthand from my Technics SA-5170 receiver. Which one's that? I don't see it. That's because it shit the bed, and I got rid of it. Yep, went out on me for no reason at all, just because I had two pair of 6 ohm speakers running at the same time, which you should not do. And I didn't know that, so I think I kind of blew something internally on it. But that's not my fault, because I don't like to accept responsibility. Not true. Totally my fault. I screwed that thing up. I forgot why I was even starting. Oh, yes. So since I knew that sometimes these things can break and go kablooey, and I've done a little bit of work on these things, mostly just cleaning them if they're dirty, and that kind of solves a lot of problems, but I have no idea how to replace capacitors on these things. I don't really know how to solder. I'm just learning to hopefully do that. So maybe we can do that in an episode, because I got to do that to fix this green one right here, which was one that I did a previous video on for the STA-76. Anywho, so yes, this was gotten as a backup receiver. Then I was like, it's kind of become my main receiver, but now I need a backup receiver to that one. This one's here just to kind of look pretty, and because I had it sitting out on the dining room table, and I wanted to get it out of the way, so I put it back in this rack. For a backup receiver, one that I was looking at was a realistic STA-225, which was super cool and pretty powerful. Had the slidey volume control. It kind of looked like that STA-84 that I did a previous video on, but it also had mid-range controls in addition to treble and bass. Never had any mid-range controls before, so that was neat. But the guy who was selling it, who's the guy that I got this Lab 300 turntable from, he had already sold it. Just forgot to take it off a marketplace. And then I saw one on eBay, which I'm normally not one for getting stuff off of eBay. I've gotten a few things, but shipping, I don't want to risk things getting damaged. He had it for a good price, but it still wasn't one that I could swing, so I tried talking him down some, and he was like, if it was in person, I totally would, but I got to pay all these fees to eBay and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I get it. So my backup was one that I saw on Reverb, and it was this, the STA-77. Comes in at only a whopping 16 watts per channel, but the sound is pretty freaking amazing. Want a closer look at it? Well, too bad, because you're getting one. Here's a closer look at it. I bought this from the original owner, so that was pretty awesome. It did have one of the incandescent lights burned out on it, and I probably could have replaced it with one of the ones from the STA-76, but instead I decided to go with the LED option. Got them from this fella here, Joseph Mirabella, who is Project BLK86 on eBay, or here's all of his other contact info. And usually his lights run like, I don't know, between like $6 and $10 for a set of lights. So what I did was I got a set of the blue LED lights, and they don't show up very well on the screen at all. Like, it's really a dark, deep, awesome looking blue. And I also got the green ones over here for the 76, and he's also the same guy that I got these for the Pioneer. And I even got a pair of white ones just in case the blue would have been like obnoxiously blue, because whenever I did have that Techniques, it was this like really kind of, I don't know, not a good look. So I went with like also the white ones, but I like the way the blue looked on here. And this, whenever it's on stereo and it locks into a station, it lights up red. Again, you can't really see this on screen because LEDs are kind of flickery lights, but you can't really see it with your eye, but it is kind of caught on video, so it doesn't pick up the way that it should. But then also incandescents don't either, because these are the original incandescents, and that should be an orange color, but it's showing up yellowish. It's more like how the meter lights are, but even darker than that in reality. So yeah, I like the way it looks. Like in real life, this kind of looks like almost Marantz blue sort of thing going on. And let's get into the functions. You got your AM radio switch. You got your FM switch. Phono for the record player. aux 1, aux 2. It's really cool. I like that it has aux 1 and aux 2, but it's kind of weird for the time because usually most of these, see, like the light turns red when it's on the radio into a station, but it's not showing up red on here. Now, a lot of these normally didn't have an aux 1 and aux 2, especially such a low wattage unit. They normally have tape 1 and tape 2 and just one aux unit. Like even this more powerful STA-90 has, where are the functions? Yeah, just the regular aux, but then that's tape 1 and tape 2. Because you had a lot more tape options back then. I mean, you could have like a cassette deck running into one, 8-track player running into one, reel-to-reel running into one. So, you know, and those all have like play and record, which is what the tape monitor function have, is play and record, whereas the aux is just play. You don't have record jacks in there. So it's weird that they would have multiple, just unless that was a money saving thing to where they didn't have to put record switches into it. That would be my guess, because there were no CD players or iPods or iPhones or anything like that, which is what you can use it for now, which is what I do. So I don't really need, I think the only tape, I do have both of these hooked into it for anyone who gives a shit. So that's where my 8-track player and that cassette deck are run into the 8-track. God, I don't even remember. It doesn't really matter because I'm not recording on the 8-track, so I guess that could go into whatever. Who gives a shit? And I've also got like an old iPhone plugged into one of the auxes as well. So there you go. You got your loudness button, which is like a bass boost kind of thing. There's your tape monitor switch for when you want to listen to the tape deck. If you don't want to listen to it in stereo, you want the sound to be equal on both speakers, you press in the mono button. But then, I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, it doesn't really show up, but it switches to yellow and then back to red because it should be in stereo. And then your mute button, which I believe is for the FM muting whenever you're switching stations. If you're in FM mode, let's turn up the volume and see if that's the case.
Any size is just $1.99. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices
All right. Yeah, see, there's more static when it's out.
Vegas, Phoenix.
All right. You got your speakers. You can go strictly to headphones on out. You can have your speakers A. You can have your QVOX, which is where there's a slight separation between your A and B speakers to create a kind of simulated surround sound, early days surround sound. Speakers B, speakers A and B. You got your bass, which you can adjust, and then there's flat sing, but it doesn't, there's not like a little divot indent like some whenever they're freely spinning, then when you hit the middle it's like a little thunk, kind of a slight stopper. Doesn't have that. It's a free glide all the way around. Treble, balance. Now balance does have the kind of little stop there whenever you hit the middle. And then your volumizer and your power switch. No more power. Power! And your radio tuner dial. So that concludes the front of the STA-77. This was made, I think, in 1977, about that. I don't know. Pretty much everything I have was made around 76 to 78. And this is no exception. It retailed for, I don't know, look it up. But how does it sound? It sounds nice. I haven't hooked it up to any of the big speakers, but I do have it hooked up to the JBL S26 2s that we discussed in a previous episode. Remember back then, in the old days of whenever it was that I'm posting these, because I don't really keep track of a schedule. Sorry, I don't have enough to do it consistently anymore. I've kind of reached the end of buying stereo equipment. Because I don't want any more to break, but I don't have any room or any money to get any more. Sorry, I'm kind of happy with what I got. But yeah, it sounds good. I'm very happy with it. 16 watts per channel. I know it sounds like nothing nowadays. When I got the 250 watts around audio visual, but 16 watts can fucking crank. For real. I mean, look at the 2216 by Marantz. Is this as good as a Marantz? I don't know, but I will also say yes, because it costs like $1,500 less. And in a room that is like 10 feet by 12 feet, it's fine. But I do crank it sometimes, and I can hear it in the rest of the house. I can hear it when I'm cooking. It's loud enough that my wife gets annoyed. So that's good. Only as far as, the power output. Not that it's annoying her. Well, thanks for sticking around and for listening, especially to that inane babble of, I don't know, maybe it was 40 seconds, but probably felt like about 15 minutes where I was talking about things that I'd plugged into different aux and tape jacks. Who gives an H? Not you. Or you. Or you, or you, or you, or you. Kidding, there's not that many people watching this. So until next time, have a blessed day. Don't stare at the sun.